Welcome. This is SPSS, PSY 3840. I'm Professor Coolidge. Let us go to our assignments. And we're ripping along here, and we're up to Unit 8, the t-test for dependent groups. There are different designs for the t-test for dependent groups, and our book in Chapter 8 shows the three most popular t-test for dependent groups design. But in essence, the common thing is there's two scores for the same person. Sometimes we'll use this therapy for stress.sav from our book, and it conducts a t-test for whether psychotherapy reduces self-reported levels of stress. So you do a before measure and an after measure, and those are going to be the two means to see if they're different. And we're going to learn how to conduct and then interpret that t-test from the SPSS printout. So let us begin and open up our data set for this before and after therapy that was in our book in Chapter 8. And this is the sample in the book from Chapter 8, the Statistics, a General Introduction. And so relatively simple here. These are all police people, and we have 8 of them, 8 cases. And this is the example in the book. And here's their stress level before therapy. These were capital T scores, so that means a mean of 50, standard deviation of 10. So how stressed were these cops? Well, you can see this person's 1.8 standard deviations above the mean. The average amount of stress would be 50. This person's 0.8 of a standard deviation above the mean, 2.4 standard deviations above the mean, only a half standard deviation above the mean, 3.1 standard deviations above the mean. So we can see some of these police are a bit stressed. This person not so stressed. Then this is the before and after design. This is the same subject here, and now after therapy we're going to remeasure their stress levels, and we see that this person went down a half standard deviation. So the focus of the dependent T will be, is the mean stress level on this capital T score, standard score, is this mean stress level significantly greater before than after? If the therapy works, we're expecting that this mean will be lower than this mean. Okay, so let's go to Analyze. We go to Compare Means. We go down here to the Paired Samples t-test. Now in the book, it did say that this is the dependent T, but also in the book, it lists all the different names for a dependent t-test, so that you're going to have to figure out, it's relatively easy. Most names for the independent samples t-test have independent in the title. Notice this one doesn't, so you just got to figure out that paired samples t-test means dependent T. So we'll click Paired Samples, and you can see this one actually, by default, both of these were already kicked over, and that's not the way it typically works. This is how you typically see it. So you'll say stress T-score before, that'll be our variable 1, and variable 2, we'll click it over, and that'll be our second variable. We want to see if the mean of this is greater than the mean of this, or in other words, is this mean significantly less than this, so that it indicates that the therapy is working to reduce the stress. So we hit OK. And what we see here is that the stress level before is about 1.4 standard deviations above the mean, because the standard deviation is 10 with a capital T score. And you can see that it looks like it's dropping, but not that much. Now that's just eyeballing it. We want to know, is this value after therapy significantly less than before therapy? Okay, we come down here. This just gives us the magnitude of the difference. We come over here, here's our t-test value. It's less than 1. This is the number of pairs minus 1 is the degrees of freedom, because we had 8 pairs. So n minus 1 for a dependent T is the formula for degrees of freedom. And you can see it's not even close to the 0.05 level. That means that this decline in stress was not statistically significant. Nor, as we can tell, it's kind of, this is almost 62. This is 64.5. It's going down a little bit, but it doesn't have much practical significance. And that is your paired samples t-test according to SPSS, of course, we called it the dependent T, where the same subject serves in the before as in the after.